just to introduce it, this is the Basecamp weekly chat. This week we are doing a community chat about the plus size community. So being outdoors, being in the outdoor industry, wherever, you know, the community surrounding it, what allies can do, where to even like start looking for gear, how to connect with other people that want to share experiences, things like that. So we're going to hop in and we're just going to ask you to very briefly introduce yourself and let us know why you're on stage. So Joan, if you'd like to start.
Hey everybody, I'm Joan. Sure I am. I'm Joan Denizo, and I am the owner, the founder of Zeiss Bikes. And we build bicycles for riders who are up to 550 pounds. So I started this company 15 years ago because I wanted to ride a bike and they weren't safe. So that has been my story. We're growing like crazy. Thank you, COVID, and some good business decisions on my part. I will give myself 2 cents there. But so we are growing. It's great. We've been pretty, when we started, sorry, I'm supposed to be brief. I'll stop. So hi, welcome.
Kendra, would you like to go next?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I am Kendra Roberts. I am the owner and founder of Alpine Curves. I am an online distributor for plus size outerwear for women, and I started it in 2017 because I'm a plus size woman and I'm a skier and I had nothing to wear except for men's clothes, and my clothes failed on a ski trip that I spent a lot of money on, and I had nowhere to get new clothes while I was skiing, so there went all my lift passes. So welcome, everybody.
That sucks. Kayla.
Hi everyone, I'm Kayla. I'm in my Jeep because I just got off work. I live up in the Northwest Territories. I'm a photographer, hiker, and I started the Instagram account Fat Wonder Babes, and it's kind of a community where I share photos of all kinds of plus size women outdoors doing any variety of outdoor activities, hiking, kayaking, traveling, hanging out in hot springs, all that kind of stuff, just for the representation. And then future ideas is holding at least once a year a cool big event for people that want to join, whether it's going to the beach, having like a backpacking trip for plus size people only. That's the future when COVID settles down.
Totally. And I thought you meant that you were like getting off work and like going to be on Zoom and like just had to go from one screen to another. So thank you for joining us, even though it's like, looks like kind of an ordeal for you. We appreciate it.
I got off work at 5, so.
Got it. Okay. Well, thank you for being here. And
no problem.
I see you in the list, but you're not top of my screen, but I hope you can say hi.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Serene. I'm she, hers. I live in Missoula, Montana, still in land of the bitter Salish. I am the body, the face, the wild child behind the Fatty on the Fly Instagram page. I am a tiny bit obsessed with fly fishing. So here I am. Thanks for having me.
A tiny bit from what I know about you. So awesome. Basically what we're going to do here is, I think this is one of those chats that people are going to want to maybe say hi.
Jenna, don't forget to introduce me.
Oh my gosh, Suzanne, I'm so sorry. Yes. Please let us know who you are.
All right. So my name is Susana, just so that everybody gets that right. I am the owner and founder of Chicana Nature. So my mission is to create opportunities for the BIPOC communities to learn about science and nature and teach to connect those. I have no idea where to start, as many people like in my community have no idea. So I do that by taking people on hikes, doing trips, and definitely like putting content out there so that people learn. And then I'm also stepping into the realm of, I've been in education, so I'm now going to be partnering with different schools in the Dallas-Fort Worth area to do that.
Excellent. Thank you, Susanna. I'm so sorry. We're going to hop in, I think, with the most common question that we were getting, which is surrounding terminology. So what are the terms that the plus size community would like folks to use? Like, would you like to be called fat? Is it plus size? the word curvy is also a little bit, it's confusing who that applies to. And people are just wondering, what terms would you like other folks to use? And Susanna, if you want to start.
Sure, I can go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead and just tell you, like, just like with being Latina, like I don't represent all Latinas, just like none of us all represent like anybody who is plus size, right? And just like in my own community, like I say my name, like that I'm Chicana because I'm a person here in America of Mexican descent. That is specific to me, okay? So same thing with like each name, right? And there are people that say Latinx or, you know, will want to be called by their own like culture. With this, I'm like, I'm thick, like that's who I am. And I don't like, there are certain parts of me that are a lot smaller than others. And I just happen to be like a lot of muscle mass with some added padding because, you know, like I played tennis in college and I don't play tennis the same way I used to. So around my middle, it's a little bit bigger. So I'm thick and I'm like, that's what I refer to myself as.
I think piggybacking off of that, all of us are going to identify in a different way. I think that it's ever changing and constantly in flux. I self-identify as a fat person. I think that if you're going to call me that behind my back, I'm going to have myself call it and own it and take the shame out of it. I think there's no shame in being a fat person. However, that can be a point of trigger for people and something that they've been associated in a negative way. I think person of size right now seems to be a strengths-based perspective if coming from my internal social worker. So definitely seeing that being more used and recognizing that there isn't one way to describe us because not all of us look the same. We all look very different in the size that we hold. And so there's definitely like super fat, mid fat, medium fat, I think is somebody can help me on that a little bit too, but definitely places of size because fatness for me and my perspective is a range and it comes with different sizes. And so there are people in the industry that'll tell you, oh, we do have plus size. We go to a size 20 when the average person and more than 62% of people in the United States are wearing more than a size 16. So that's interesting to me that they consider themselves plus size at a size, or that they have that covered when we're still missing a significant amount of people.
So Joan, go ahead.
I was just going to say when I started my company 15 years ago, I called it supersized cycles. And I found a lot of people were really, is it going to say that on the bike? I don't want it to say supersized. And so I was looking for a word that worked. And it didn't exist, which is why I invented Size, which is the name of my company. So I call it Size with Attitude, right? But right now, I personally call myself fat, but you know what? I tell people, whatever you're comfortable with. I mean, if they're talking to me and like, oh, you know, a person who might be a little larger, and I'm like, you can say fat, it's okay. You know, it's not a 4-letter word, but it's really people's comfort level. So what I do is I ask them, what are you comfortable with? You know, and that's how I get around it.
That's very kind of you. I was also going to ask if Kayla or Kendra wanted to hop in with like, how is plus size defined? Because Serene just mentioned like for, you know, some people think it's an extra large and it's not.
I know for me, I think in terms of, because I own an online, you know, a retailer, it's like, I always look at like the size range. But so I always consider it like size 14. If I can walk into Lane Bryant and buy clothing, I think, okay, that's what plus size is considered. At least that's what works for me and how I view plus size.
For me, there's when Serene was talking about like super fat, mid fat, small fat, all that stuff. Generally in sizing, plus size starts at 16, I find, and then there's this thing online where people are talking about mid-size, or it's kind of like size 12 to like 16 or 14, kind of where they feel like they don't quite fit in the plus size or the straight size sizes. But yeah, I would consider around a size 16 kind of the definition of plus size, and it varies because size 16 at one store is different than at another store, so it all depends.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, even among brands, like the same number will be completely different. So that's just like I don't know, fashion problem. I have no idea whose problem that is, but okay. So if we do want to go find gear for ourselves or our friends and family, where can that be achieved for the outdoor industry in particular? And I'm talking like clothing, but I'm also talking gear, because a lot of recreational pursuits, you need gear to be safe. So where is it? Where can you find it?
I'll go first. So a lot of the times, activewear clothing is relatively easier to find than technical plus size clothing these days. I'd say technical clothing is almost non-existent that I found. And for gear, it's even harder. So like I think there's Misty Mountain Hardware from Sam Ortiz. She says they go up to a size XXL that fits, I think, a 3X in Torrid or a 4X or 4 in Torrid for mountain climbing, like the harnesses. So that's one brand that has harnesses that'll fit a bigger variety of people. But for technical and gear, I know Marmot makes plus size sleeping bags. And there might be a couple other places, but I spent 3 or 4 months trying to find a plus size sleeping bag for my first backpacking trip and almost couldn't find one that would fit me. And I almost exclusively shop online, which I'm sure most everybody can understand in here, because if I go in the store, I can't find any clothes or technical clothes to try on in real life. I managed to find a backpacking backpack that fit me at a local retailer, and I live in Canada, so I don't think anybody else lives in Canada here. But oh, Janet, you live in Canada? Nice.
I'm from Canada, so I know the vibe. So yeah, there's less stuff that we usually
there's
get.
There's even less stuff up here for sure. So for technical clothing, like I have yet to find technical hiking pants that don't cut into your waist when you're hiking, hurt your belly, or even technical stuff that you can layer properly if you're hiking, because you can always get, like, you get puffies, but can you get a jacket that'll fit over that puffy? Probably not. So it's pretty hard to find any gear, and I'm sure Kendra has some addition.
Yeah, I do. Because of Alpine Curves, I've researched all different brands. I go to the outdoor retailer show, scouring all the different brands, asking them, do you go up to plus size? Do you have plus size? Always asking them, do you have, and they'll say, yeah, I have plus size. And I'll say, okay, well, let me see your size chart. And if their size chart, their 3X doesn't fit my size 24 body, I know they're not plus size. However, you offer that because that's all that's available. So Marmot goes up to size 22. I can fit into the 22 pants, the hiking pants, but I can't bend over, and I probably couldn't walk with them on. Prana goes up to 3X at a size 22. Again, they're really, really tight, and they show more curves than I'm comfortable with showing. And that right now has been the only 2 brands. Oh, and Mountain Hardware now goes up to size 3X. But I haven't gotten their products in yet to be able to try. So, and that's the challenge too, is a lot of this stuff comes in, they don't have plus size models. So it's just like a clothing hanging on a wall. And if it doesn't fit me, I don't have anyone to try, to be able to model it for me, because I'm a small company and it's just me taking pictures of myself. So that's also a challenge.
I'm excited about Alpine Parrot. Raquel coming out of, now Colorado, promising us some pants that go to a 24 now and then building past that too. And so I think the dream of technical gear is like you can almost taste it in your mouth. As a fly fisher woman, I would say my technical gear of finding waders that like fit my body. They're, in case you've never fished before, it's like basically coveralls that are waterproof that fit into special shoes or boots is what they are. And there's one company in the entire industry that makes a plus size wader for women, and that is called Miss Mayfly, and she's out of Tennessee. The interesting thing about that is going to different opportunity or taking that opportunity of growing that for folks and knocking on their door and saying, hey, what if you built a wader that fit more women? You have an initiative to get women on the water. Where's your talk? You're pushing for this. And they say, oh, have you tried Miss Mayfly? They make a plus size wader. And that slays me. There's no other industry in the world that's like, oh, have you tried down the road? Like, we're a Ford dealership. We're not going to build a truck. Have you tried Chevy? Like, you would never see that. And so the fact that brands are pointing you to the one singular place that's building that, because they don't think, you know, oh, we would never sell. We're not going to grow our market. Have you tried this one single place? Is just, it becomes a uniform. And then it's like, oh, there's another fat person wearing the same waders as me. Like, cheers. It's insane.
I want to say that it's I carry the bulk of my weight in my ass and my thighs. Okay, so I can't wear a size 24, right? So I have to go bigger than that, and it varies where I buy them. What, you know, like all of us, what size you get, but I know I can't wear a 24. So that means if I wanted some of the things that we've been talking about, there's nothing I can wear of what you guys have all talked about. So, and I'm really, you know, the reason I started my bike company was to champion, to just to allow everybody to live in joy. That's really what it's about. It's, you know, find your love, find your joy. And so anyway, I'm developing a new store called, and it's going to be called Life Size, and it's about products for heavy people. And it's, so I would love to connect with people, just this is an aside, but if people are interested in connecting, I would love to connect with you, because I think that it's really important. And I have every intent of going bigger. And I don't know how I'm going to do that. I'm going to have to talk to manufacturers. I'm going to have to say, listen, a size 24 that really is a size 20 is not big enough, right? And I want to grow it. And I think we're all really smart to be here in this meeting, because this is growing in spite of everybody trying to stomp us down because it's not cool to be fat. Guess what? We're here and we're taking a stand. And I just think it's really important that we ask for what we want. One store I love, which is very expensive, but I still love it, is Universal Standard. They have size like, I don't know, 0 to 3X, and they cover like size 2 to 40. Like, all the sizes are included. They aren't outdoor gear. I mean, there's some jackets, but it's not sports gear, but it's inclusive. And that is what I think we should all be looking at, is something that can just, you know, you take a 2X, that's a 2X, you know, it's a 2X. And it frustrates the bejeebies out of me. Sorry, that's my end of my rant.
So Serena, Serene, you have like, you were talking about waders. Like, I've been in an outdoor education like program for a long time, and we wound up having to use like men's, like some of the largest, so your feet were all over the place, and like and you're having to do this for kids too, because they're not fitting into, you know, the size shoe that's attached to there, and then watching their faces like as they're putting this on, and it still be like very tight in places that they're just not, you know, and they're not comfortable, and it feels funny, and they already feel a little weird about it anyway. So kudos to you for finding that, and thank you, because I'm going to pass that on to my camp homies that are still in the industry dealing with that kind of thing, because they're willing to spend some money on that just to help children out. I know that, you know, I'm a little bit different because I am in the Southwest. I am in Texas, and we have like weather to deal with that is a lot different. Although we did have a winter storm thing, climate change, but we are mostly like hot a lot. And the places that I wind up finding like gear, and I don't really wear technical gear because of what I'm doing all the time. So it's day hiking, and it's not really like I'm out backpacking as much as everybody else is doing like that. So when we're walking around, like I'm wearing shorts and I'm wearing leggings that are okay for me to do it. So Fabletics is fantastic from what I've seen. I know that with me, the way that my body shape is and my body type, I'm like that upside down triangle. And for anybody that knows like body types, the way that we have to, upside down triangles, like I have some stuff within my midsection, but my legs are toned. Y'all check out my photos all over my stuff. Like people are dying about my calves all the time, but I cannot fit certain things, or like my shorts are a little bit strange and I have to always wear something extra underneath because I have that midsection, like I have that fupa, as people will say. So it pushes things out. So I have to always like be cautious about that. Walmart's really great for shorts. I'm not gonna lie. They are wonderful. They're reasonable. Nike tends to tear sometimes. So does Walmart eventually, but I've had some of my shorts for a long time. I'm wearing a pair right here. Yeah. And I've had these for like 4 years because I've been taking care of them, and also like, and they get used, you know, they're good. Gregory packs, like Kayla, you were talking about their backpack, like backpacks for a backpacking trip. They were supposed to roll out their stuff. I don't know if it's really happened quite yet. I do know that I was given a prototype, and it does like fit up to 7X. I'm not a 7X. I'm like a 2/3, depending on where you go. Because if I go to Lane Bryant and try to buy leggings, like I don't have thighs like that. I don't have hips. My mother always makes fun of me because I don't have anything in the back area either. I have, and that's okay. Like that's my body type. But I can't fit in those because there's so much excess, you know, material. And another unsafe thing like that happens a lot in the camping industry is that we've moved away from just having like harnesses for hips to doing the full body harness if you're up on an alpine tower or anywhere up for a long time. And the size that I had to put on was still not my size because the bottom half did not fit properly. And so if you're supposed to cinch it to where it's going to be like stuck on your legs, and okay, it was very loose. And honestly, like it felt unsafe. So that's definitely an industry that needs to like be looking at their at their products a lot better, because like it just, you know, if you're top heavy or heavier, if you're bottom heavy, it's not going to fit accordingly because they think that we're all in this like this little box, even though we've been in a bigger box and a different box the whole time. But Walmart Fabletics are fantastic for the things that you can use. And then I also have found some good things at Academy, out of all places. I know like I'm an activist and I'm typically like against capitalism, but when you gotta find the finds, like not everybody's making things for us. So that's where I found things. Yes, BCG line is wonderful and they stretch really well. You know, I have big breasts and it's nice to be able to fit in a, you know, in one of their Razorback tank tops that I wouldn't necessarily need to have another sports bra underneath.
So one thing I also want to say is I'm going to put out a little thing after this chat for people. If you want to connect, I'll kind of like get everyone that wants to connect and then just connect you all, because this conversation should be longer than, you know, the 5:40 that we have this evening, because I would like to talk about where is the disconnect, because everyone's like, we would like these products, please. And like, why do they not exist? But also, you know, what can allies do probably to help, you know, not only make you feel comfortable, but like push that forward? Because even earlier I was asking Joan and Kendra, like, are there stats on, for instance, the number of plus size folks that are going outdoors right now? And there's not. And so how a company saying like, well, there's not enough customers for us to do that. Well, there's not even numbers. So like, should we be starting there?
I can go first if you want to. When I was talking to Gregory Backpacks and Chuck, another partner of mine, is we're discussing that, like, the as COVID has started, and also like as people like start their times like with, New Year's or getting your summer body right or whatever, there is always a market. And what they're not doing is looking for those clicks. They're looking at those clicks of the final buy and the final purchase, but they are not looking at those clicks of like, we're looking for specific size. And that is where people need to start. That is where the market needs to be. Creating those opportunities, and maybe you have one or two products that fit this, then look at how many, final purchases that you'll have. Because like every single year, twice a year at the very least, they're going to have more of us that are a different size go ahead and step forward and want to purchase things. Also, just because seasons change and we need to have those new things anyway. I know that sometimes like I maintain what I can because as we found out, it's harder to find them, but I also want to change up just like anybody would.
I think the problem too, though, is like a lot of the brands, they say that they'll start offering plus sizes, and then when they offer them, they bury them on their website. And as you said, plus size women, we shop online because I'm not going to walk into the everyday REI and be able to find something that's going to fit me and not leave in tears. So, so what they do, like Prana, love the brand, I sell the brand. However, try finding their extended sizes on their website. It's a challenge. And then when you do find those products, they're the same styles as they were in the winter. And then they're the same styles in colors that they were in the fall. They don't switch it out as often as they do for their other clothing offerings. And they don't feature it on their website. And then they'll say to me, because I talk to them, they'll say, well, we're just not selling them. We're not promoting them. You're not letting people know that these are clothing that you're offering. And you have to do that in order to generate the interest and the consumer knowledge and the brand awareness to be able to sell the products. And I'm only so big. And, I know my counterpart up in Canada and Australia, plus no, we're small. We're just small bootstrap companies, and we can't do and have the money to do all that promotion.
Well, then one thing, like going off what you said, Kendra, is so Columbia makes plus sizes, North Face, Eddie Bauer, Marmot, and a couple others. But if you look on their Instagrams, you almost never, ever, ever see anybody plus size on their social media. So it's like, well, maybe they only go up to 3X, but how do you even know what they look like on plus size people? How do you even know that they have them? Like North Face is a pain in the butt to get to find where the plus sizes are. And then believe it or not, Columbia makes plus size men's that go up to 6X, but they only make women's up to 3X. So why do they do that? If they can make 6X for men, why can't they make 6X for women?
Interesting concept that I've been excited about is, I don't know, I don't work for these folks and they don't pay me, so I'm sorry to say their name without them paying me to do this, but Duluth Trading Company out of Minnesota, they are pretty awesome. And the best part about it is I walked into a store in Salt Lake City a couple months ago, and their plus size is within their regular clothes. There is not a section, and they do a pretty good job of having it included. So why do we separate plus out anyway? Why is that even something that happens in the industry? I don't have the answer. We don't have to discuss that today, but like, why aren't the shirts just on the website listed that they go to this size with maybe an option of choosing your size? But I think it's interesting reading the comments here too, wondering like why, they don't do these pushes, and then the industry is frustrated that it doesn't sell. Well, we have no idea. I have no idea that Columbia's fishing gear goes higher, except for the fact that I've purchased it, but it's because it's in the back corner of a store with like 6 hangers, and it's like, oh, fatty's in the back. It's not cool.
I actually think
And
Go ahead. No, sorry. No, I'm sorry. Go
I
ahead.
really, really think it's important to start having more big models. I think it's crucial and it's coming. It really is. When I started my company 15 years ago, nobody fat was even seen online. And now look at this group that Jenna pulled together, and we're just a touch. So it is coming. And I have one piece of really positive, exciting news, which is I'm going to be selling my bikes starting whenever I get them because of COVID to REI this year, which is exciting. But what's more exciting is REI is doing a big push because they want to be more inclusive. So they're going to be doing a big article on these bikes that are made for fat people. And I'm really excited. I said, make sure you have heavy models. Don't put skinny models in there. Like I'm like in my website, I got all sorts of heavy people. We went out and found big people to model. I mean, it's just, everybody's invisible. So of course nobody thinks we exist. We hide, we can't dress ourselves, so we don't go out and do the activities we want to do. I mean, it's ridiculous. So I say, get out there, get your picture out there, get your friends' pictures and insist, like, why aren't you doing this? Sorry. Preach it, Joe.
Hey, y'all, if y'all saw, Lindsay Malone is on here, and she is from Gregory Pax. She just listed that they are coming out in May. If I'm reading this correctly, yes, May. As we all know, like with COVID, just like bikes, just like anything, like manufacturers are having trouble. Like even with my own merch, manufacturers are struggling because like things have been shutting down due to all of the people having, contracted COVID at times. My brother just had it and has been recovering. So yeah, but thank you, Lindsay, for being on the call.
Yeah, it's great.
For sure. Great to see everybody. And if anybody has any questions on our packs, please hit me up.
There was also a question sort of in this vein in the chat, and then 2 editors from pretty prominent publications were like, how do we help? What's our role here? And, in the chat, the question was, or the comment was, learn how to treat plus size models. So can anyone speak to that?
Well, first of all, invite us to the table. I think when you look around the table, and that is not solely for fat people. So I just want to say that we are not the only persons not sitting around the table, but invite us to be part of that conversation. Bring us in. You treat us, we're freaking humans. What do you mean? How do you treat plus size people? Like, yeah, we like snacks, but so do your straight size people. Like, we are more intimidated to eat your free snacks than your straight size people are. Call us, send us a message, and freaking pay us. Like, show up with your pocketbook, because we don't work for free. Like I don't work for free. I'm not going to just tell my story. I gave away my measurements one time for free to a company that's never called me back. And you might as well have just bought me a steak dinner and left me there, because it's the same thing. I think that we got to start sitting around the table. We got to start having the conversation. You get me fired up like this, then I'm going to take the rest of the time. But I just want to say we're here, we're doing it. You wonder why we don't buy your product, you don't make it. It's this cyclical problem. We're out there, we're going for walks, we're fishing, we're catching fish, we're doing things. And like, you don't see us, we don't come to your store because you don't have product for us. We're not gonna show up until it's there.
Yeah. If you guys don't mind, Jenna, if I can jump in for a second.
I would love you to jump in, please. Yes.
Okay. So, hi, I'm LaTraya Graham. I do some writing for Outdoor Retailer, and I'm the one that was talking about sort of the have editorial directors and photographers that know how to deal with plus size people. And what I mean by that is put people in color, put people in joyous situations, right? Like the idea that like every time I pull stuff for a shoot, it's Black. Every time. And I'm like, absolutely not. I'm like, we're going to show body, we're going to show abs. There are a couple of pieces that I've like recreated that I want to do for magazines. Like one was a Lindsey Vonn sort of shoot. And it's like, this person's going to have fat showing and that's fine. Right. Like, but like some people are like, oh, you have to cover this up. Like coming out of the fashion industry and understanding how art works, you can have someone shooting fat people that doesn't know how to treat people like people. They treat them like mannequins. And so that's a little bit of what I meant there. I know we're running out of time.
No, thank you for popping in. I think we've got about 4 minutes left. And I think that is It's not enough time, but let's talk about what people can do that want to help. Both at brands and just individuals, just kind of throw it out.
Advocate for plus size gear, like especially if you're a straight size person and sponsored by companies that maybe don't make very much plus size gear or don't make any plus size gear at all. Tell them they should, and speak and talk about how important it is for being inclusive, because everybody deserves to get outside no matter who you are, and choosing whether to be dry, warm, or safe, and not all three at the same time sucks. So and then on an individual level, I say work on your fat phobia, because everybody has a little bit of it.
I think really making sure that you do, like both ladies were talking about, advocating for yourselves. As Jenna knows, I have no qualms about advocating for myself. As being a token Latina, a lot of times, like I have just spoken up very loudly. And it's really about like sending those emails and being the Karens, or in my case, the Yolanda, to do what I need to do to make sure that like people know what's up. And do it also in a way that is, you don't have to be rude about it, but definitely like letting them know exactly what we need, what we want. And there's a professional way to do it. If anybody wants to, like I have an email that I use. I'm more than welcome to like share that with anybody. So yeah, help us, like we got to help ourselves.
When I was preparing for the call tonight, I was trying to think to myself, what is my barrier to entry into the outdoor space? And I thought, not even being considered. So I think that's my biggest takeaway, is consider us as a customer and create products that we can buy.
Anyone else want to hop in?
Yes, Jenna.
I have one more thought. Anyone who is here from a manufacturing company, clothing company, I would love to talk to them, and I'm sure all of us would, but in terms of really what we need individually, like, okay, you say you go up to a size 3X. Well, guess what? That's not going to fit me, or 20% of the women out there, or the boobs are too small, or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. Like, talk to actual people, get people to try things, but talk to us. We're all here working in this field. And so I think that's really important, because we want to make change. You want to make change, else you wouldn't be here. So let's collaborate. I would love to do that. And so many people are here. It's awesome. Really happy to see that.
Yeah, and it's Earth Day too, so a lot of people had a prior conflict, and but checked in and were like, will this be recorded? So a lot of people will be watching this after, and I'll be sending out this kind of connect thing after to everybody that was signed up, so we will get all of that. And then I did just want to say, because this wasn't a term that came up, I think is straight size. That's a new term to me and possibly others, so that means not plus size. It's really just the counterpart to that term. So thought I would bring that up. But I mean, I think that's a great point about, it's not just plus size people that should be advocating for plus size people. It's everybody. Like, if I'm asking, hey, do you have this harness in this size? That's an extra kind of like person